meeting to order of the Vergas City Council, June 6th. Just a reminder that our meetings are recorded and they are played back on our city website and YouTube. So those talking, if you could identify yourself when you are making comments. Julie, citizen concerns, we have utility bills.
We can remove that.
Okay. Agenda additions and deletions. There are just the two deletions. Planning Commission did not meet, so there's no committee reports. And the street sidewalk yard waste, the minutes are pending, so we will also remove that from the committee reports. With those additions or deletions noted, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And then we have our consent agenda as written with the deletion, planning and street sidewalk yard waste. Is there a motion?
Yeah.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we are at committee requests. We have fireworks Long Lake. Julie, are you addressing that or is Steve?
No, I will address
Okay.
that. The Vergas Community Club has requested or is asking permission to do fireworks on July 31st as part of Movie Days and to have them go off over Long Lake. So they would be at the entrance of the Long Lake Walkway parking lot above where the boardwalk is.
Okay. And it's a licensed fireworks.
I would recommend that council approve this with having it licensed.
And is there ability if there's a fire in that area where they are shot from?
We can
Is it
request it.
so dry?
Well, I'm also wondering, because we got the quote for the barge to have them do from the middle of the lake.
Oh, okay. I
So
was
that's
updated on that.
why I'm just was wondering about that, because that was what we talked about with community club, so. I don't know.
So we could, give them permission to do this if you want to, if you would like, and then if they move it out to the barge, they don't have to just because they have permission. But
Any other discussion or questions regarding the request?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve with the addition of license and, yeah. Liable, I'm guessing, they have the insurance, so.
Mhm.
So just with the addition of the, licensed. Provider.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Always right.
And we've had a request, and it's actually for Friday, August 21st and Saturday, August 22nd, to close off Railway Avenue from the corner of the length of Billy's. Before the Always Ride.
Like previously, so.
Yeah, the same as they've done last year. The year before that, they also closed Main Street. They are not requesting for that. They're only requesting Railway.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to
Is there-
approve.
Is there a second?
Second. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All ayes. The 2025 audit report, Colleen, you've passed them out.
Right on time. Good job. Same report. It's a nice city. It's a nice financial statement. Your net worth is about $4 million. That's a lot of money a lot of assets, a lot of money to be responsible for. Just watching how you conduct your meetings, you do your due diligence. When you have questions about bills, you ask to see them. You have good policies in place. I talk to Julie quite often about different things, where to put it, how it should be coded, or what to do with it. And the West Central Initiative has been good for you for your projects. So you got several things going on. The parking lot thing was not budgeted, so that kind of gave a little hit to your general fund. even though there was money for that and. There was another project that wasn't budgeted. You know, if you think you're gonna do projects, it's nice to have some budget for capital outlay. But you do have reserves, so you're spending your reserves down, and that's not so bad either. Because, you know, you don't need to be sitting on all that money, it's not earning that great of interest, so. It's good to invest in your community and it looks nice. I drive around a little bit, look at all the streets and make sure there's, you know, everything's being taken care of and it looks good. I just want to show you something on page 36 and 37. We never really talked about this, trying to come up with something new for you. This is like starting at the bottom of page 36 and going on to 37. These paragraphs describe the debt that you have, the bonds. And so the bonds of 2015 are almost paid off. Like next year, 27, they will be paid off. But this describes, you know, what they were borrowed for, what the principal was, what the interest rates are, what the payments are, and how much is left to pay on them. So on the bottom of page 36, there's 3 of them, and there's a paragraph for each bond issue. So you kind of get a grip on how much, what's the debt as a whole that we have. And then over on page 37, there's 3 more. So you actually have 6 items of debt altogether. And your payments are going out to 2040. There's a little chart there that shows, you know, what years the payments are due. So you know that. So it's also nice to budget for those payments. Like in the general fund, there wasn't a budget amount for the debt payments. So then, you know, because those are for sure, you're going to be making those debt payments. So there's no way around that. So that's just kind of a nice little summary of what the debt is. On the bottom of page 38. So the governmental activities, which was your general fund and your debt service funds, basically, they're separated out in the audit report. They're considered financed by taxes or assessments. On the top of page 39, those are the business type activities, and those are by, you know, for sewer and water, because those funds are operated more like a business. They're supposed to pay their own bills. So then I ran into an engineer, one of the engineers somewhere, and I was talking to him about some cities, when they do water and sewer projects, they get grants.
Yeah.
Some cities get loans. So why, you know, why can't we all get grants? Why loans? Some cities don't get any grants. And I said, what are the determining factors of that? And he said they compare, number one, they compare your rates, your sewer and water rates. So if you are already high, really high on your rates, like compared to the general area, then they feel like you don't have room to raise your rates to pay for bonds. So you have a better shot at getting grants.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was the one thing. And then the other thing was how much fund balance you have available in your sewer and water funds. Because you know, you can always spend that down to make bond payments. So those are 2 of the criteria they use to decide if you're going to get grants or loans. So right now, your sewer fund is in the hole. Like it's bad in the hole. Like $100,000 bad in the hole. So that, I mean, if you're looking at doing a sewer project, now you can apply for a grant because you have such a bad fund balance. On the other hand, you still need to do repairs and keep some money on hand to pay for that. So when the sewer doesn't have any money, obviously they're borrowing from the water fund, which has enough to cover it. So it's kind of a worse piece because sewer goes with water, but you know, you kind of want your rates for each to be able to fund it themselves. Yeah, and the water fund didn't make money either. So, you know, both of those, you're going to have to look at your rates. I hate to say that, but it's just everything's going up.
We did just raise them. Yeah.
For 26.
We raised the sewer rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on page 19. Oh, sorry, that's right. Yeah, that'd be numbers. Page number 30, 23. Or 23 is cash flow. So on page 22, that is your liquor, sewer, and water income statement. Shows for page 22, shows how much you took in and how much your expenses were, and then what your income was. So, you know, sewer has been going downhill pretty consistently in the last 5 years or so, and water is just barely holding their own, but they have a little more, you know, to go on. So that's the only worrisome thing is I can see is keeping an eye on those rates. I don't know if I've told you this before, but in Roseville County, I have a place there and my sewer bill is $95 a month. And it's seasonal. So they're all over the place, you know.
Yeah, the last time we did a comparison with our region, we were like in the middle.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. But you have a beautiful community, so, you know, sewer and water services. You know, liquor store did good, liquor store did really good. I don't know, but it's nice to have a good manager. It's really nice, and he's doing an excellent job. So, but, yeah, they're your little golden child there as far as bringing the money for the city. That helps with your levy.
Yeah.
And it gives people some jobs and he does, it's clean as a whistle. I mean, we go in all the liquor stores and count inventory and, you know, to make sure what they say is there is really there and it matches what the till says is in there. And your stuff's on and the shelves are clean as a whistle. The bottles are not dusty, you know, because like we'll look for dusty stuff. We'll say, why do you have like so much in the back room for storage, you know? Why do you have like 20 cases of this and it's all covered with dust? It's not even moving. And they'll be like, well, because we got a really good deal on it, you know? Yeah, but if it doesn't sell, it's not a good deal. So sometimes that happens, but that's all, you know, that's the manager, you know? And some liquor stores, they'll buy all these new younger people drinks, you know, all these fruity, all this new kind of stuff that's out and the THC stuff is going crazy. And, you know, so you gotta kind of keep up with what the market wants, you know, and the people that know that are the ones that are making money for their city. So it's good. Very pleased with how that was going. So the building seems to be holding up, but not, you know, the storefront thing was nice. The liquor store page just kicked in a little bit for that, you know, but that was looks nice. And the new building is great. So it's fun to come and work here. The liability for pensions is going down. You know, we started up in the 250 some thousand and now we're down to 100 and some thousand for the PERA liability. Remember when we had to recognize our share of that? So soon I anticipate that will be an asset to the city. Once it's fully funded and then it's, you know, overfunded, you'll have an asset to report in your books. It's just part of the equity or the net worth of the city, the $4 million net worth of the city. So that's good news. That's going for everybody, all the cities all around. Yeah. So I don't have anything negative to report. I gave Julia one transfer to make just to move some money that those taxes got put in the wrong place, but no big deal. We'll fix it. And that's it.
Good.
And
I
that's
see the recommendations are kind of like.
they're always the same. They're the same. The Relief Association, they have to have, in order for the city to be compliant with that government accounting standards board statement, they have to have an actuarial study. So what they have is they call it the fire form. And the fire form lists out every firefighter, their age, their date of hire, and how many years of service, and then their pension amount, because you know, it's like they get $1,000 for every year of service, something like that. And they have to go to 75% of the fire calls and 75% of the meetings or something. There's requirements. And so then to be eligible, some drop out for a little while for reasons and they come back, so they're in deferred status. But the fire form tells us all of that for every firefighter, where they're at and they're, you know, and then they retire and then they get paid out, of course, from their special fund. So the money that comes from the state goes to the special fund and it can't be used for anything else except for the retirements. So then they also have a general fund, and that's their fundraising money and their t-shirt money and whatever else money I don't know what they do with that money. But when we do the audits of the fire reliefs, we do audit those funds and kind of keep an eye on what they're doing. That there was a thing where we just took on a new city that shall remain unnamed, not you, but they're buying 5 cases of beer a month. And we said, well, you know, we've pretty much, well, we have 16 fire reliefs and we pretty much put the kibosh on that and all of them. And they can't be spending that money. And plus, they can't be having that at their meetings at the fire hall. Because of the story of they were at the meeting, they were having a couple beers, a fire call came in, they jumped in the truck, they shot out the door and ran over somebody on the bicycle on the street. Yeah. So that's, you know, and that can happen, or, I mean, there's stories of total fire trucks, like they go too fast and they lose control, they go off the road. So they can't be doing that, and, you know, one of our cities, and probably the one that I know of, they have an agreement between the firemen that, the firefighters, there's lots of gals in the fire department, so. And they have an agreement that when there's a wedding in town, small town, there's a wedding, they're all going. They have to have like so many guys stay sober that night in case there's a fire call. They have an agreement and they take turns. Because it's a thing, we gotta have, you know, can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So it's not fun to tell your firemen they can't have beer at their meetings. There was a long time I was worried real hard that my house would catch on fire and I was like, oh, but so, yeah.
Yeah.
But now everybody kind of understands, you know, times are changing and the younger ones, they get that, they're smarter than that, you know. It's just not like it used to be, you have to. So, but they have to have this actuarial report. The fire reform tells us exactly how many firemen there are, how many years of service they have, and what their payout for everybody would be right now.
Yeah.
And when they come to you for a raise in their benefit, they say, we're fully funded, and here's our proof of it, and then you say, okay, we can raise up your benefit a little bit. And that's the way that works. If they raise it too much and they fall short, there's a required municipal contribution. And you don't want to be in that position, so you really have to watch when they ask for raises. But I mean, you want to keep them happy too. Take away their fear, you can give them a little bit of a raise. But you know, but if they don't have the actuarial study, we can't put the numbers in the audit report. For years we used the fire reform number, but we can't use that because the actuary says these people are going to live to be this long, and they're going to chances are they're going to move away, and not. They have all these statistics and census data that they use for determining what the real liability amount is. And it's not that far off. It's not that much different than the fire reform. But the Government Accounting Standards Board must have gotten lobbied by the actuaries, and they now require that. So until they do it, we can't put it in here, and that's what that finding was about. So, and I have about 6 out of 30 cities that still have that finding that the.
Yeah, they just looked at it, so I have a feeling, so I don't verify because I'm in the fire board, but they did just look at the pension and made some adjustments.
Well, the other thing is now it's getting very popular for the firemen to join with the ERA. Because they have a statewide volunteer firefighters fund, separate from the general plan, separate from police and fire, separate from correctional. It's for volunteer firefighters. And it's a separate plan, and they're 130% funded. So they just send their money in there, then they don't have to do the form, then they don't have to have an audit, all of that goes away. And if they're having trouble getting somebody to do their books, which is really common, then that's the way out, just go with the state. You know, and I know a lot of the firefighters want control of their money because they want to invest it in the stock market and all this stuff, but the PRA does a pretty good job of investing in it, really. So that's an option. You can't get a treasurer for the firemen.
Any other questions?
Look, read it, call me when you have questions.
Appreciate your report and thank you for coming.
You're welcome. And I met the new gal in the office.
Rachel.
Yeah, she's adorable. She's really good. And she's great. Because I was working with Julie one day and I said, yeah, I could probably need a copy of that. And she's like, Rachel. And Rachel's running and making copies and she was looking up files and it was really nice. So she's kind of getting some stuff organized in the office and it's nice for Julie to have a backup, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Really nice. Divide up some of the duties with the money and things like that. So good that you have her.
Yeah.
Yeah. This doesn't. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Okay, just call me when you have any
Yeah,
questions.
yeah. See you in a year. Huh?
See you here.
Wait, I hope it's a year.
Yeah, I brought that in case. There were anything here.
Thank you.
This
Our
is
next
my
one.
umbrella.
The next item on the agenda is the municipal solar cohort in Griffin.
Yes.
Good evening. Thank you for having us back. I'll just really high level. After we moved forward with the project last year, we reached back out to Julie and asked if folks would be interested in going through looking at a second project. They said yes. So we went ahead and studied solar for the Vergas Fire Hall. Exact same process as last year. We worked with Lakes Country Service Cooperative to do a cooperative RFP. That bundled our 13 communities in the second cohort together. And then those projects were difficult to focus. Colors are talking. Anyway, no, it's fine. So we went through that process. We got a couple of folks from the second cohort to participate in a selection committee. At the end of that process, we chose 2 installers, Pulse Installer and one other installer, to split the projects across the region. I'll just pause there and let Jess kind of talk about the high level project proposal for the fire hall. I'll come back and talk a little bit about the analysis and the different, incentives and stuff that we're offering. And then there'll be time for questions. And at the very end, we'll have 2 resolutions for you to vote on. One to decide whether or not to move forward with the project. And then if you do decide to move forward, another one to work with West Central Initiative on the zero interest financing. So, give it to Jess.
I'm Jess Paulson Solar. This system design is on the fire hall. It's do you have a copy of it in front of you or not?
No, that we don't.
I do have copies if you want me to pass them. I have 3 copies, I think.
That would be great. Thanks so much.
Oh, just at 3? Oh.
I just have, well, I have this one. This one.
I don't know if that one has the updated visual either, but there's an updated visual for this one.
Yeah, so this system, it's 84 panels. It's split between 2 arrays. What is an updated visual? Okay. Split between 2 arrays, so they're going to be east and west facing, which allows us to get the sunlight from morning till early afternoon.
And it's the first building.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
building
Yep.
with the metal roof.
Yep, the building with the metal roof. So that one won't have any penetrations or anything with the racking components. It would have 4 inverters and it would be set up for net metering. So that system is maximized to what Otter Tail Power will allow under their rebate program. And also for net metering as well. So and then I think Griffin, you guys can probably go over what the financial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
So looking a little bit at this handout again, very high level, the fire hall consumes 66,000 kilowatt hours a year. And it consumes those across 3 different electrical services, a small general service, a fixed timer service for an inflow heat system, and then an off-peak water heater. The total cost to the city per year for that building is roughly $3,922, of which $2,289 is the per kilowatt hour charges. The other charges there are things like demand charges and customer charges and resource adjustments, things that aren't based on your kilowatt hour consumption. Looking down at the rate analysis, this kind of dives into how the different rates are structured for the fire hall. So 22% of the energy is consumed under that small general service, 7.5 cents in the summer, 5.5 cents in the winter. When you include energy adjustments, that averages out to right about 8 cents. The fixed time of service heating in the summer and the winter, it's right around a penny a kilowatt hour. And then with the energy adjustments, it averages out to about 2.6 cents a kilowatt hour. And then the off-peak water heater, that's 3 to 3.2 cents summer, winter, and it averages out to 4.7. They all average together to 3.5 cents, but the figure we use for the analysis is this 7.7 cents. And that's because that fixed time of service is only on from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so the solar is never going to offset that energy because it's never going to be light out when that service is on. And so when we're trying to value the energy that gets consumed on site, we're valuing based on the small general service and the off-peak water heater because those are the things that will be active when when the sun is shining and when the panels are producing power. So if we move to the reverse side of this page, here's a high level kind of analysis of what they're proposing. So it's a 50 kilowatt DC, 40 kilowatt AC solar array that we think will produce 54,500 kilowatt hours, or roughly 82% of the building's annual consumption. There's an upfront cost of $110,356, and that's offset first by the Ottertail Power POP rebate, which in this project would be $55,078, and then the 30% tax credit, which would be $33,047. That brings the total incentives to $88,125, and then a balance after incentives of $22,231. And then we expect that this is going to fully eliminate the bill on the building, and that's because the average rate you're consuming at for the whole building is at 3.5 cents, but a lot of the power is going to get exported and sold to the grid for 8 cents. And so you're making a pretty big sizable profit on the energy that you're generating and exporting to the grid. And so that's why we estimate that the annual energy savings will be more than your total bill. And that annual savings estimate includes $200 per year for insurance that we discovered last year through the lead. We expect the project to pay off after 5 years and 2 months of energy savings. And then over the 30-year lifetime of the project, we expect $123,547 in savings. And then the total energy value, so that's the total amount of energy produced by the array over its lifetime, is valued at $145,778. On the reverse, there's a cash flow that illustrates this in some more visual detail. You can see the $200 insurance costs factored into there. These columns off on the, I guess it's the right side here, the export payment, that's the energy getting sent to the grid. So you'll see that in this one, it's particularly high, $3,800 per year in the export payments versus the on-site savings of $628. That'll, average out to $4,200 in the first year, and then as electric rates go up over time, that also increases. This analysis, same as last year, is on a 1.5% year-over-year electric escalator rate. Ottertail Power will say their annual average escalator is about 2%, so we're doing conservative even based on Ottertail estimates. Also, Ottertail doesn't raise their rates every single year. They do rate cases every 4 or 5 years. So right now we're in a rate case year. The proposed rate hike is 19%. So something to consider. And then the final piece is that, so same as last year, we're offering 100% coverage loans at 0% interest for the full cost of the project. And then the repayment on that loan would just consist of that utility rebate, the tax credit, and then the energy savings from the operations of the solar array for those first 5 years. And then same as last year, we're going to work with Giraffe to do the tax credit filing for the city so that really here doesn't have to learn about how to file tax credits. It'll be handled for the city. And essentially the way that works at a high level is that we contract with them, or the city's contract with them, both, and they file for the tax credit, and then they only get their full payment once you guys get the tax credit. So it's just an insurance policy to make sure that everything's filed correctly and that you guys get your tax credit in a timely fashion. I don't think I have anything else. You guys have questions for us, either on this new array, or if there's any questions on this building too. I know Jessica could maybe answer that as well.
I do have an update on the array.
The electrical.
Yeah, so that this system, I know we were, I think, out here today working on it. This one is ready to be tied into the meter.
Oh.
And so I talked to Lion this morning about it. And so we need to find out from the city what day would work to do that tie-in, because there will have to be a shutdown of service.
How long is the shutdown?
We've done it in 2 hours, but it could be all day. So, we
So
try.
we just have to look when we don't have anything going on.
Right,
Yeah.
could be a Monday or Wednesday, possibly.
Yeah. So if you can get us a date that you want for that, I'll get it set up with Ottertail Power, and the earliest they'll come out is usually about 7 a.m. We tried to, with liquor stores, we've tried to, not, and you get really close. But yeah, just let us know what day you want and we'll get that scheduled. And then once that tie-in's done, then we'll be it'll be ready for inspection and turn on with Otter Tail Power, so.
Awesome.
And then, for, if you look in that statement of work for the new project that's being proposed, we have some timelines in there and. And then I also kind of put like a payment schedule in there as well, and I'll start with the payment schedule. That is not set in stone, it's more based on when things line up with what you're doing with WCI, so those dates are not firm. It's, you know, we understand you have loans to do and things, so those payment schedule dates are not firm. And then the installation schedule, we have this one on the timeline schedule for installation in the fall. But we'll do it faster if we can. That's just kind of in line with what we were able to put together for the whole cohort. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out too, so.
So what is the timeline for a commitment? I am not sure that the fire board has made a final commitment.
Right, and then my question is,
And-
does the city have to be the fiscal agent to get the federal taxes back? Or is the fire board, fire department then as well?
Probably the city is the safer bet. I'm sure there's a way to do it with the fire board, because it's technically a unit of local government. But
Better safe than sorry.
better safe than sorry, yeah.
So,
If possible.
so the city would want to make a motion, if fire board approves, that we would approve, or you guys can deny. And then if you do that, then also make a motion to be the fiscal agent for the project.
Yeah, I think the last time we had a board meeting, there was the vote to proceed. I think it was prior to Wholesome doing the assessment and not fully knowing what the configuration would be. And then there was, what roof would it be on? Because the one is shingles and they were concerned, do we have to reshingle? So there were these questions. So I know we could, get a meeting. What is like a date? I mean, we can call a fire board meeting to
I mean,
get this confirmed.
I won't speak for WCI, but Pulse Solar, we don't have a deadline.
Okay.
We're trying to, for the 7 cities that we have projects with, we're trying to do a bulk order purchase. It's kind of the purpose of the cohort, to save money on that. So I mean, you know, within a month, if we
Okay.
can have an answer, that would be ideal. But WCI might have their own timelines too, so.
Do you guys have a timeline?
The loans should be going out quite a bit faster this time around than last time, because last time we were designing the program from the ground up as we were sending the loans out, and this time that's not the case. And so you already have a pre-filled loan application in your packet, or Julie has it probably somewhere. And so if you approve tonight, and then as soon as the fire hall board approves, you can fill out that application and send it in. And I think Greg said it's like a week and a half now or something, so it's gonna be a pretty quick turnaround.
Oh,
So that's not, yeah, I think the kind of time constraint then wouldn't be on our end necessarily.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we got the townships too, you know, so we got 4 entities trying to, you know,
Yeah.
kind of come together on this, and I think overall, I mean, it was positive there. You know, I think there was one township that seemed to have more concerns than another, and it came down to some of the cost and the cost benefit, and you know, so I think a lot of that was talked through at the meeting, but there was a commitment with wanting to see the final, because this was all before you did your site visit and assessment.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be on just the Middleborough.
Okay, yeah, I think that they'll be happy about that, so.
And I think I'm flexible to come and talk to the fire board whenever that works. Obviously, next week, you know, I'll be at the
Yeah,
conference,
yeah,
but
as well, but,
aside from that, you know, I can be flexible.
well, I think even if we even had you audioed or zoomed in,
Mhm.
that would be just fine to avoid all the travel.
Something.
I think just for the questions, because I think the last meeting, you had a conflict, so I was trying to balance the questions on that, and, certainly don't have your technical knowledge and was really going by your sheet of notes, so, yeah, let me, send the fire board a message and see that how fast we can just get together for, just to act on this and,
Yeah.
and make sure that we have a vote in our board minutes, because right now we do not,
Yes, absolutely.
so. But we could entertain, the motions here as was highlighted.
I think you have resolutions for them to, or you can make motions on that as well.
Oh,
Doing that. I never
Oh,
seen it.
I thought I sent them to you. Have them right here.
well, if you have a resolution, we can. Is that?
Resolution to accept solar proposal from Wholesome Solar, whereas West Central Initiative has worked with city staff to analyze energy use and solar potential for the Vergas Fire Hall, CDH Fire Hall, pardon me. Whereas West Central Initiative staff have analyzed the potential for solar, the expected project cost of $110,356, and the expected project incentives $88,125. Whereas the project will save the city of Vergas $123,547 in energy costs over the project lifetime. Whereas West Central Initiative and Lakes Region Service Cooperative prepared a cooperative RFP for cities that are interested in receiving bids from contractors for solar projects. Whereas West Central Initiative and Lakes Region Service Cooperative convened a selection committee of members of the municipal solar cohort to select a final proposal. Whereas the selection committee chose a final bid from Wholesome Solar. Whereas Wholesome Solar has prepared a detailed estimate and full project proposal to add a solar array to the Vergas CDH Fire Hall. Whereas the proposal from Wholesome Solar has a total cost of $110,356. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Vergas / Vergas CDH Fire Hall Board, Section 1 accepts the full proposal from Wholesome Solar and agrees to move forward with solar installation on the Vergas CDH Fire Hall.
Did you say Lake Region or Undertow?
Lakes Country Service Cooperative.
Oh, the Lakes Country.
You can't approve that.
But if you guys wanted to make motions about whether or not, as a city council, you want to move forward with the project, I think you can do that. And then we can coordinate how to do the resolutions later.
So we'll entertain a motion, whether we as the city council, as a member of the board, and we would be the fiscal agent, and to proceed with a solar on the city fire hall.
I'll make that
I have a
motion.
question first.
Oh, sure.
I noticed you got solar panels on both westerly side of the roof.
So that's the updated graphic that Julie has right here.
Okay.
One of them. Yeah, so that came through initially and I was like, whoa, we set the metal roof. And so this is the updated graphic. It would just be on the metal
We're
roof.
just on that one, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because we heard the shingle, issue, and I think Wholesome also prefers to install in metal because it's easier and no risk of penetration. So yeah, it would just be on the metal roof. There'd be one that faces kind of
Okay, yeah.
This is north, so
West, west and east.
Yep, and you'll get that really nice, even kind of production curve throughout the day. And that kind of will help even out the solar consumption on site, make sure you're producing, late into the evening and early in the morning too.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Now, is there any other discussion or questions?
We talked about it before, but there is no penetration into the roof itself. It just clips into the
Yes.
things, correct?
Yeah.
I know that was a question.
Yeah.
That had come up
And that we
with
have a metal roof.
Yeah, and this one,
Yeah.
I knew that. Trying to explain that to them, they did not. I was like, not it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, it's a clamp.
yeah, it'll be the same thing as we have on currently.
Yes.
So, okay.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye. We will take this to the fire board. We'll probably get a meeting called because we only meet quarterly, so that we'll want to get this addressed and we've got some things to address. So anything else needed? Julie, anything else from the city part?
Nope.
Just a motion for this part and we'll worry about the resolutions later. Also, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And thank you for also coming.
And then we'll be in touch about getting a set in the session.
Yeah, Julie, you'll just coordinate looking at the event center schedule and throw some
Yeah,
dates.
so I can.
That's
send that to you
not
tomorrow.
that we need. Awesome. Great, thank you.
Awesome.
much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Oh, committee reports. The personnel committee met and our first motion is to accept the resignation of Kyle Faison, the current liquor store manager.
I see that, yeah.
He had submitted his resignation that was effective June 12th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion with that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I would like to, allow him to stay part-time. And so we would accept his resignation as the liquor store manager, but still allow him to be a part-time employee until a new liquor store manager is found.
So let's act on the resignation and then we'll do another motion to actually have him as a part-time liquor store employee until the liquor store manager
So
is
motion,
hired.
yeah.
So, we had a motion in a second, to accept the resignation, call for the vote, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
I,
Now, to maintain Kyle as a part-time employee in the liquor store until a new manager is hired.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
And carried unanimously. One of the aspects of when looking at the hiring personnel committee had looked at some pay data, and the League of Minnesota Cities had indicated they thought we were a bit low for the manager of the liquor store. So we felt it was so critical in active recruitment to have that competitive wage now and not
Yeah.
wait till we do our salary grid at the beginning of the year. So we were proposing to change the startup salary. What was it?
22 something.
Yeah, to 25-23, and it was 22 something.
Oh, what?
So we are recommending the start salary, which is the step one of our salary scale, which goes up 10 steps, and it would be calibrated from there, was to increase the salary of the liquor store manager only, not the other positions on our city salary scale. So if there is a motion to approve that,
Motion.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other
I
discussion?
have just one question on there, just to make sure that the effective date on here says 1/1/26 on this page. Or just, will that get updated after this is approved?
Correct, so after this meeting, it will be changed to 6/16.
Okay,
Good.
just making sure.
Thank you. Okay, call for the vote, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
I,
Unanimous. And then we had a recommendation about disability. Presented to us from Julie that the employee benefits, there's the term disability, it's a short-term disability, and the Minnesota Family Leave. They both cover the same thing, but you can't have both. So it's like, perhaps what's recommended is that we discontinue the short-term disability insurance and maintain on the Minnesota Family Leave, which if at some point they rescind that, then we would go back to the short-term disability, which costs us $800 and some dollars a month, $813, I guess, a year. I meant a year. So, so is there a motion that we discontinue the short-term disability and just maintain the Minnesota Family Leave.
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, other questions? Call for the vote, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimous. Was that it for our?
Job description.
Oh, yes, the job description of the liquor store manager, we went through that at the time of, looking at the resignation, and the only change was it had reports to the liquor store committee. We don't have a liquor store committee. Once we got a liquor store manager, we no longer have a liquor store committee, because the manager has oversight and they are under a report to our city clerk treasurer. So is there a recommendation to approve the job description with that change?
I'll make the motion to recommend job description.
Is there
Second.
any other questions or discussion? Call for the vote, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. That is personnel committee. The next committee report is the park board, and Dean, I believe you were reporting for the park board.
Okay. I have more notes if people are interested in more things, but this is the most important thing here. Recommend the city council accept the wishing well donation. And let's, I guess we gotta make a decision on that. Recommend that the city approve up to $1,000 for purchase of mulch soil applications for the loons land around the loom to upgrade that. They thought around $1,000.
Okay, so the wishing well, and that's going to Peterson Park,
Correct.
and the
Sharing
maintenance of it.
So I can't share this, but this is what it would look like.
Oh, okay. And the maintenance of the planting of it would not be city responsibility.
Correct. The Lions take care of that park at this time. I've not confirmed with them that but it's only this one popper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will need a resolution for this. If we approve, we'll sign a resolution to ensure we've accepted the gift and outlined
Correct.
our requirements. Okay. Any other questions on the wishing well?
The purchase of the mulch stuff too, is that on there?
Yeah, I'll do that as a second one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do the wishing well, that was fine. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make one.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions, comments? Call for the vote, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Where's this gonna be located? In Peterson Park,
Yeah,
accessible to somebody who could park on the side of the road and walk to it.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, people do park along, there is a
Along
bench there, they park along,
Now,
what is that road, Linden?
Linda,
Yeah, Linden Road.
yeah, so closer to that
Mhm.
road.
Yeah, I don't think they park on County Road 4, it's just
No.
kind of a skittery road to be sitting on. And the other part was landscaping around the loon.
Mhm.
The loon got repainted, it looks awesome, we looked at it today. And, you know, they wanna put new plants in. They'll need dirt and mulch. So they were recommending up to $1,000. Okay.
I mean, I won't make a motion to spend up to $1,000.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
We'll take Dean as a second. Any other comments, questions? Call for the vote, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, so, okay. Yeah, we actually had a meeting down there today and we took a picture by the loon and it looks so awesome since it was painted and it's in that tour of Ottertail County Giants, so it was, nice to see that it looked so great down there. Reports, engineering.
Lane's up.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, any questions on it? I guess two updates since I sent that out Lead service line, I think Julie and I were down to just a handful of unknown services. We're required by the state to report by the end of July. So we'll see if we can get those pared down. But yeah, there's really just a couple left, which is pretty nice. And then the other update would be the Keeley Shores. Keith had reached out, said they've made more adjustments to their pond. Hopefully it meets the requirements. Just kind of waiting back on their engineer to confirm that what they've done is sufficient and, you know, meets what the agreement was. So any questions on any of that?
Any questions for Blaine?
No.
On that or anything else on his report? Doesn't sound like it, Blaine. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Julie, the clerk treasurer report?
I have a written report in. The only thing that I would kind of like to discuss is currently we do not allow anyone under the age of 21 in the liquor store. And I would like to consider lifting that. We did that because if we were under the Otter County cannabis ordinance, then they would not allow that. But it is, there are a lot of people that are saying, you know, they want to bring their kids, they have their kid with, and so they're not coming into the liquor store. And so, and it happens more in the summertime than it does in the winter. But if they're in town and they're like, oh, I can't bring you in there, then they're going somewhere else.
I thought there was a state requirement when we did this.
It was, we didn't realize that we have our own ordinance. We
Right,
thought
so-
we had to go through the county's ordinance.
Yes,
Oh.
and so it doesn't need to be in place. Legally, but it's up to you if you want. I'm allowed in there, but there are a lot of people with children, mainly under the age of 8, that that are going other places because they can't bring their kid with them. Not that we have a lot of kids in there by any means, but it's happening once or twice a week.
Are there other communities around us that have their own ordinance
Yes,
and they're allowing kids? I'd just like to know what kind of community standard is occurring.
I did not check
Oh,
with
okay.
them, but I can do some.
I was just curious, most curious. Any comments or thoughts on that?
A very long time ago, when they were small people, we sitting attorney children. And there was one employee who had an affluent connection about it, but they kept coming to the liquor store when they were at home to meet by.
Okay. Yeah, there was someone 21 and older.
They have to be accompanied by someone under over 21.
Yes.
And they can't touch any product while they're in there. You know, there are people that
Do
bring,
that anyway.
there are people that bring their
Bring it,
grandkids
buy
with
it.
so that they will carry their product out.
Yeah.
And our employees then have to say, no, I'm sorry, they can't touch the product, and the employee
Oh.
has to carry it
Oh.
out. So we don't allow them to touch any product while they're in there,
Hmm.
but
Any other questions or comments or, and we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to lift the
Age limit.
age limit or age restriction for the liquor store.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or? Questions? Call for the vote, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Any other questions of Julie in her report here? Anything else you wanted to highlight, Julie?
I guess I have one question with this grant about the fence around the water tower.
Mhm.
How much more are we thinking we'd want to fence it? Because to me it seems counterproductive to fence only what we can afford to the grant and then do another fencing project a couple years later just to make it all happen.
I am still waiting for the utility superintendent to get the quote to see what he can do.
Okay.
So we would do the front and where people would access it, so the front and sides. Then the other side has trees along there. So that is the area that they would wait until the next grant. If it doesn't come in, but I don't know what the numbers are gonna be.
So we don't know at this point what 15,000 can do.
what that can cover.
I mean, I look at $15,000 with the cost of everything these days. I don't really feel like we're gonna get much of a fence. But then if we're like one, I just want to know what the kind of point of it is, what we're looking for. So I guess that was my concern when I saw that number earlier. So
And I think what the water sewer committee thought when they stated to do 2 grants was, right now, there's no fence at all, so if we have at least, if it takes a year for us to do 2, then that's better than nothing. Especially when you can get 100% grant. And they were looking at their numbers, and as you heard from the auditor,
Yeah, we don't have.
there's no money, those 2 accounts.
Yeah.
I,
That's- Any other questions of Julie?
Oh.
Okay. Have the utilities report, and Mike couldn't be here, so, Julie, is there something that
Yes.
was highlighted?
Yeah, so for the utilities report, most of the information is in there. One of the things that have come up is the weeding of the beach area. We budgeted $750 for this because that's what it's been costing. This year to do the beach weed pesticide application, it's gonna cost $1,500. And then the committee that does the fishing thing during Looney Days has requested that we have the weeds. A weed removal done by the dock, and that's another $850 for that to be done.
How was their budget? That would be parks budget, or?
Yeah, this would all come out of parks.
Well, I have to say, in the last couple of years, the beach has gotten really bad. The weeds. It used to be so pristine. And, they just really moved in, and all of that weed stuff was just kind of hanging on the surface that we were seeing. And weeds were coming through it really, and that is a heavily used park. It is. And I think it's probably used more by people that aren't residents than are residents. So it really brings a lot of people to the community, and brings a lot of people when we have the water ski show and Looney Days, and we have events that take place in the water there. So, I mean, I feel if they have a budget that we could handle it, I think investing, trying to get those weeds under control.
What kind of weeds? Out of my
I don't know.
And green weeds.
Yeah.
my question about the removal of the weeds around the dock, is that
It's around the pier,
the
actually.
pier? Yeah, do we have to like talk to, is it that?
Oh, we
in
have
our-
a permit, sorry, I should have said that, we have a permit from Minnesota, Department of Natural Resources, the aquatic plant management permit.
Would it just be by the pier, or would it be also by the swimming?
In the past, no, we've only done in the past, we've done the pesticide application. That's all we did up until 2 years ago when, the committee for the Looney Days fishing has requested us to start removing the weeds around the pier.
That they also fish off the other docks.
And
And then I was thinking
Yeah.
of swimming, I mean, that dredging is just unbelievable how it improves the beach. But I suppose that $850 is strictly around the pier.
yes, it's 2 hours worth of.
Yeah, because
removal.
usually are 400.
So, $425 an hour, and so if we wanted to do more of the weed removal. The cost is just gonna go up,
They should comply with this.
yes,
The DNR gets they're very attached to their weeds.
yes.
That's why I'm just questioning the removing the weeds around the fishing pier. Cause fish like them. So,
Swimmers don't.
Yeah, but they don't swim off that pier, so.
No, no. that's-
Well, usually fishing and swimming are kind of incompatible uses. Swimmers, books, not together.
I know having had that done at our own lake place, I mean, the only requirement was you cannot have like lily pads in like the wild rice weeds. They do strictly the weeds.
They're very attached to the.
Yeah, those, if you have that, then it's a problem.
Then they usually call me in and I have to put.
Yeah, they have a way where you can get exemption from the DNR. You gotta do some other special paperwork, and I don't know if they take a look at, I don't know what they look at, but there is a way then to do it, but lily pads here pretty much cannot do anything.
Those are not in the beach area.
No, but there is some of those weeds starting, they never used to be there that much, but.
And they're very particular about their pesticides too.
Yes.
And their pesticide the people who apply.
Yeah,
People who.
and I think in our
Yes.
DNR thing, they actually.
Yeah, they state exactly what we can use.
Yeah.
Well, under authorized actions, yes.
I used to represent the watershed district, the
Oh,
Pelican River Watershed District, and obviously in Detroit Lakes, we've had some serious weed problems. So,
mhm.
and the DNR is very tricky to deal with and talk across.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Otter Tail Lakes Country meetings that I go to, that they're very encouraging for people to have a municipal swimming beach like we have. And they said she'd be pretty proud of that because it is well used in the summertime. So if it takes a little bit more, probably we should do.
Encourage your swimmers to rip up.
We can all take our dogs down there.
But it's hard to expand to different without, looking at different factors.
Yeah, they kind of said because we haven't had much like snow cover and then the ice and then the sun gets through and it's causing the weeds to proliferate more. Is what they've said is kind of the problem. And, we have a Long Lake Association that's done really good monitoring of our Long Lake, and Long Lake has improved. We had, some issues of runoff, from fertilizer and different things going into the lake, and the clarity is really improved. So, overall Long Lake is getting more healthy, which is a good sign as well. So we have to approve $1,500 for the chemical and $850 for the weed removal, which is around the pier, is the recommendation from the park board.
Not from the park, this is not went to the park board, this is just, not just, but
Oh.
our utility superintendent.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought they discussed it at the park board.
This is maintenance.
From the utility superintendent, who has been doing the chemical each year. Hasn't Mike been pretty much taking care of the beach?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, well, he covers it too.
Yeah.
That you can only, the chemicals that they use. He said there's only like 8 people in Minnesota that can do this.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, so you have to have a licensed
Licensed.
person to, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, but he's been coordinating it.
But he's been coordinating it, yes.
Then you're not gonna weeds around the swimming area, you're not gonna get rid of those, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, for $1,500, we can get rid of those.
That's the chemical.
That's, yes.
So $1,500 for the chemical, which would be kind of the beach area, an additional $850 for the actual weed removal, that dredging around the pier. Is what Mike has noting.
I'd make a motion that we spend the 1,500 and 850 for weed removal and. the
Second that, yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions, discussion? Call for the vote, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I don't know if we just want to go on record and note that to take a look at the beach area and whether we may also want to dredge that area based on the chemical. It is so effective, and we got swimming lessons coming up here, but last year it did kind of prohibit some swimming because of the weeds. And it looked, and I don't mind weeds that much, but it was kind of yucky to me. I don't know if I would have swam out in that.
Many years ago, when I was in the swimming pool, which is past, the shower is better. That the weeds, you can get tangled up, a swimmer could get tangled up in a massive amount of weeds that.
Yeah.
In an area, so I think it's something that we should, definitely take a look at, that's what you guys already with me.
Maybe that kind of feedback can go back to Mike and maybe the park board, they can take a look at it.
Yes. Okay.
I remember the days when we had that raft out there,
Yeah,
and there were tall weeds, you could dive off and you'd get kind of caught up.
caught up in the weeds. Fortunately, we didn't have that problem.
No, now there's not a raft because, and I understand why there's not a raft, so liability. We purposely tried to tip it, Everybody gets on one side and,
That was a miserable thing to move around.
oh, yeah, it was just those big pontoons, crazy. Was there anything that Mike needed action on or
That was it.
anything else?
That was the only thing else for action.
In terms of, we have League of Minnesota Cities next week. We have 3 attending that, and our hazardous waste day is also next week on Thursday. So next week we have some things going on, and then in August and September we have some other staff going on trainings, but just to be aware. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make them.
I'll second that.
In favor, indicate by saying aye. You're in favor of our motion? Okay, unanimous.